What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series, the Grand Inquisitor. And so here we have the Grand Inquisitor pose and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's run through his accessories. The Grand Inquisitor only comes with one accessory, and that is his Inquisitor Saber, which does look really nice, and it does peg onto his back. Other than that, we don't get any other accessories for him, so with that out of the way, let's move on to the figure itself. And so here we have a closer look at the Grand Inquisitor, and Hasbro's done a really good job with the source material that he is from. I know he's not what you would expect the Grand Inquisitor to look like if you're a fan of Rebels. This is more the live action Grand Inquisitor, and he does look the part. This looks just like the character did in Kenobi. I know we've seen his species in episode 3, and I really would have liked to see them put more effort into this, but for what it is, it does look a lot like the Grand Inquisitor from Kenobi, so really good job there by Hasbro. He even has the coverings on his ears. He does have the markings right here on his head, which is sculpted on really nicely, but they're also really subtle, so I do like that. Really do like the paint job here, and you can see he does have the orange eyes, although I do feel like they could have been a little more pronounced. That would have been a little bit better, but overall, still a really nice looking head sculpt. Moving on to the rest of the figure, you can actually see they did a really good job moving the source into plastic form. The armor does look really nice, and I do like the fact that he has a Grand Inquisitor pendant right here. That's a really nice little thing. One thing I love about this figure is that his armor is all done in soft plastic, so it does get out of the way as you need it to. If Hasbro had made this figure maybe 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, this would have been hard plastic and you would get no range out of that. That would probably be the most you would get, but because this is really soft plastic, everything gets out of the way as you would want it to, so I do like that. His armor is done very nicely. You can see it's done in this really nice black with some panel lining right here. It does make him seem like he has somewhat of a beer belly, even though the Grand Inquisitor didn't really have a beer belly in Rebels. Again, this is a live action interpretation of the character, so there is some differences between animated and live action, so do that what you will. You can see the pegs on the back right here for his Inquisitor Saber, and I do like his cape. It's a really light cape, and it is two-toned, so I really do like the fact that we have the brown, well, almost maroon inside and the black outside. And then of course he does have his gray jumper underneath his armor with some gauntlets right here. He is wearing some black gloves, which look really good. He does have his belt right here, where you can see it does have some silver, some red, some grays, and it's still black. Then we move on to his thigh guards, which again, done in really soft plastic, so they will get out of the way when you articulate them. So really do like that piece of articulation. One thing that this figure doesn't have that I feel like was on the live action one was his pants were really high, and he had a really high crotch for his pants. It's like they told him, pull your pants as high as you can and do with that as you will. But yeah, this figure has more realistic proportions, because no one would ever wear their pants that high, not even an alien. So yeah, really do like it. The gray jumper does look really nice, and you can see they did a really good job sculpting it all the way around. And then we go on to his boots, which surprisingly they're just matte finish. I would have liked to see some gloss on the boots, just because, you know, the Empire loves their glossy boots, but the sculpt work on it is phenomenal. The sculpt on his boots looks fantastic, really nice. You can even see there's some sculpted detail here in the back. Just overall, his boots are done really nicely. So overall, with what Hasbro had to work with, they did a really good job with sculpting this character. So gotta give them credit for that. It's really done well for the source material. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have the Grand Inquisitor posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have the Grand Inquisitor posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have the Grand Inquisitor posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And for one final comparison, here we do have the Grand Inquisitor posed next to the fifth brother and the third sister. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's have a look at the Grand Inquisitor's articulation. Now he does have your standard Star Wars Black Series articulation, which is a double ball joint here at the head, which does let him look up. He really can't look down on that double ball joint, unfortunately, because his chin is sculpted a little too predominantly. But he does have some really nice head tilt. And then we do get another ball joint down here at the base of his neck, so he can look up to about right there, can look down to about right there. And because it is on a ball joint that does swivel around, and you do get rotation at the top joint, so really do like that. Again, like I said, all his armor is soft, so it gets out of the way, so if you accidentally clip it, you don't have to worry about it breaking. But one problem it does create is that his armor is always going to have this matte finish because it can't be glossy, unfortunately. So the Grand Inquisitor does have a butterfly joint, which does pivot forward and back nicely. It does go out to the side, and the armor gets out of the way, which I really do like that. And then he does swivel all the way around. Again, the armor getting out of the way. It is sandwiched between the joints, so you can actually move that as you would. So that's really nice. No bicep swivel, unfortunately, but he does have rotation here at the elbow, as well as a single hinge that does go past 90 degrees, so I really like that. Getting that straightened out. And for his wrist, he does have a swivel and an in and out hinge, which is unfortunate. I would like to see a vertical hinge on Grand Inquisitor here. He has a ball joint in the torso, which does lean back only to about right there. Leans forward, doesn't really lean forward, side to side pretty decently, and it does rotate. No waist articulation, unfortunately, but his legs do kick forward to about right there. They kick back out to the side. Again, his armor gets out of the way, so I do like that. Swivel up high in the thigh, single bend at the knee going a little past 90 degrees, as well as rotation. No boot swivel because it rotates right there at the knee, and he does have a hinge in the ankle going back and forward. And then of course forward facing pin for rocket rear ankle. That is really good forward articulation. I really like that. So overall, really like the articulation on Grand Inquisitor. I feel like the ab joint is the only place that it can improve on, but other than that, really good movement from him. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get the Grand Inquisitor pose for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Grand Inquisitor pose for my final thoughts. And overall, given what Hasbro had to work with, which is the TV show, I think they did a really good job with this character. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of the Inquisitors. I think they're an unnecessary part to the Star Wars mythos. And I do understand that there are some people that like the characters. Me, honestly, I can live with or without the Inquisitors. But as far as the figure goes, this is a really nice figure. It does capture the look of the Grand Inquisitor from the Kenobi series. Now, I understand that a lot of people have their idea of what the Grand Inquisitor should look like, and I do know that we saw the Utapaudians in episode 3, but this is what they went with for Kenobi. It's what Disney did. I can only review what I have in hand. I can't really say what they should have done, but with what we have in hand, they did a really good job with it. I like the subtle details in the head. The lines are just subtle enough that you don't notice them at first, but if you look closely, you can see them. I like the fact that his armor is done in soft plastic, which makes his articulation work really nicely. And despite the fact he has single bend in the elbow and knees, he does get some pretty good range. Now, the 2 points of articulation that I would change are in his abdomen and in his wrist. His abdomen could use some more forward and back mobility, and he could have used some up and down hinges in his wrist. But other than that, he's a really solid figure. And if you're a fan of the Kenobi series or just want a Grand Inquisitor in your collection, this is a really nice figure to own. Now, I did pick up my Grand Inquisitor from Amazon. I got the shipping notice a couple days ago, and he arrived at my doorstep. Really do like the way the figure came out. If you guys are a fan of his overall design, or you have a Casting Caves head that you want to attach to this figure, definitely pick this figure up. You're going to get a really good solid Inquisitor base, and then you can just swap out the head later when the better head comes along. So I do like this figure. If you can find him and you're a fan of this overall design, or just like the Grand Inquisitor in general, you're going to really like this figure. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Star Wars Black Series videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you'd like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified anytime I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.